Hi, I'm Dr. Ricardo Rodriguez, and today I'd like to talk to you about why I don't like to do liposuction on the outer thighs, despite the fact that that's one of the things that women ask the most. The reason I think that happens is because I think women find when they look at themselves in the mirror and they say, oh, what's my widest part? I don't feel quite slender. The hips is what's the widest, right? So they think they gotta diminish that to look more slender. But that's not the real answer, okay? Because when you eliminate that part, it makes you look more like a cylinder, whereas an attractive woman's figure is more like an hourglass, right? And we call that the waist to hip ratio. In other words, the waist has to be smaller than the hips. And there's actually been studies about this where they drew diagrams of women who were slender, mid-bodied, and heavier set, and they had them with different waist to hip ratios. And then they have people interview many people from many different continents, so there was no cultural bias, to decide what figure, what diagram they found the most attractive. And the result was they didn't find slender more attractive or medium more attractive. No, what they found out was that the ones with a waist to hip ratio of 0.7 were what they found most attractive, whether they were light bodied or medium bodied or heavy set bodies. And humanity has known that from the beginning, right? This is from the time of the Greek sculptures of the Greeks, ancient Greeks, and they have a nice waist to hip ratio. That's what gives you that nice figure. It's not a slender woman like this, it's a woman with curves. And when we look at Sophia Loren, an icon from the early 60s and late 50s, she was, medium set body, but she has a good waist to hip. And then in the 60s and 70s, when the fashion was for more slender, you still kept the waist to hip ratio. The beauty icons like Audrey Hepburn, she had a really nice waist to hip ratio. And again, all these other figures are just to demonstrate the same thing, that what humans like is the waist to hip, and that hip is your saddlebag. Now, these are all young women, athletes. They're not heavy, but they all got saddlebags, right? But that makes them look nice. That gives them that nice little curve. Nobody would go around thinking, oh, you know what? She needs lipo to the outer thighs. Now, this is when I came out of my training, I was taught to do liposuction of the outer thighs. Patients came asking me for liposuction of the outer thighs, so that's what I did. And then when I started looking over my cases, I started noticing certain things. There is a price to be paid when you do liposuction of the outer thighs. I'm going to show you what it is. First of all is the aesthetics, right? So this patient came in, wanted liposuction of the outer thighs. I did it, okay? She looked more slender, but again, no curves, that cylindrical look, and it was uniform. And as a matter of fact, the better I was at it, the more they were looking like this, right? So this girl, an athlete, okay? She had this done, but then also this done, and again, she tends to look cylindrical. But then I started noticing that, gosh, the butt seems to get longer, okay? And not only was it longer, when I started drawing lines to measure out, I started noticing that the butt was actually dropping. And the reason the butt drops, okay, is because when you take out the fat that supports the buttock slides down on the muscle, okay? And then you can get things that are called like a banana roll or whatever, but the plain fact is that the figure, although it looks skinnier and more slender, doesn't look more attractive. Now, I put these slides together of a patient that I had done the liposuction on. And in this case, right, I had done some modeling on her with the computer graphics, and I said, we're gonna take out from here, take out from here, take out from here, and this was the result that I got. Again, slender, cylindrical. In my mind, I looked at her, she was happy, but really me, I wasn't that happy. And then I went back and I did a look at the computer and I said, okay, what if I just took this out and I left the hip the same? That to me, with the curves, is more attractive than this. So that changed the way I started doing and approaching these cases. So one case I did liposuction here only and left this alone. And that was like a turning point for me because, very nice hourglass figure from the back. I didn't touch the outer thighs, and she looked better. Okay, now the nice thing about when you start doing that, like you start noticing other things, right, in the body, and one of the ones is that the buttock started looking rounder. Okay, so although this butt looks like it dropped, it hadn't really dropped. It's just that the woman started getting fat up here and it made the butt look longer. Okay, so when you take out this on the top, the buttock looks rounder, and then also because you didn't liposuction here, the butt doesn't fall. So ironically, even though I took the top of the butt off, the butt looks perkier. Then I started saying, okay, I can work this in reverse. And there were some patients that had had liposuction of the outer thighs. This patient had liposuction of the outer thighs from somebody else. She wasn't happy. She came to me, and what I recommended was the opposite, right? I would do fat grafting into the outer thighs. And by fat grafting into the outer thighs and taking off fat from the top up here, okay, she got that nice hourglass figure. And this is predictable. I do this now a lot. Okay, and here's another patient. Okay, if I would have just done this, yeah, I could have brought in her thighs, but she would have looked again like a cylinder. Instead, by liposuctioning up in here and then doing the leaving the outer thighs, and as a matter of fact, fat grafting into them, much improved result. And this is finally another patient where they did the liposuction of the outer thighs, right? And the buttock actually did drop, like as expected. And then she went to another surgeon, and what he did was he took off a buttock wedge off of the top, off of the bottom. So what she ended up with was a butt that was flatter, and on top of that with a scar on the bottom. So again, what I did was I fat grafted to the outer thigh, and I liposuctioned some in here. And these were very little changes. She needed very little liposuction and very little grafting, but she looked a lot better. So that's the reason why I don't like liposuctioning to the outer thighs. I hope you understand why, and I hope you like this. And if you would like me to talk about other things, just leave it down in the comments what you would like me to talk about. Thank you very much.